sir.
Please chant.
एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वां पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां योगवित्तमा.
Very good. So Arjuna inquired, what are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested? So I would be waiting for your answers in chat. If anyone knows the answer, please write in the chat. So yesterday we came to know about the Vishwarupa of Krishna, right? Uh, is Vishwarupa impersonalist? For impersonalist, you can write I only, or personalist, you can write P in the chat box. Is Vishwarupa impersonalist or personalist feature of Krishna? Yeah. So, without fail, everyone is wrong. Without fail, everyone is wrong. How come everyone is wrong? So, three people wrote right answer. No, four. So Vaishnavi said first personalist and then impersonalist. So intelligent Vaishnavi, because personalist is wrong, impersonalist has to be right. Wow, so intelligent. So yeah, uh, mm, this is impersonalist feature of Krishna. Why Krishna? It is impersonalist feature of Krishna because it is a feature where we could not directly connect with him, right? Krishna has lot of energy. Krishna has lot of powers. In the Vishwarupa, impersonalist feature where we could not directly connect. I told a story about this Jagannath, Lord Jagannath, right? That was the personalist
Yes, sir.
feature. That was the personalist feature where devotees could directly connect, right? Where Krishna is very merciful, where we could have right to ask Krishna whatever we want to, or the Krishna's original form, that is a personalist form where we could directly connect with Krishna. But look at the Vishwarupa, which is another form of Krishna only, and Arjuna went fearful rather than connecting with him, rather than talking to him, rather than being happy. Arjuna became fearful of the Vishwarupa, right? We know. And thereafter, when Arjuna became fearful, Krishna gave the four-handed form or the Narayana form. Thereafter, Krishna came in his two-handed form, right? So, Vishwarupa is an impersonalist feature of Krishna, but Krishna Krishna wants everyone to, because first we would not be able to understand impersonalist feature of Krishna. We would not be able to understand. We don't have that mental understanding that we can understand Krishna's impersonalist feature. We cannot see. We cannot see impersonalist nature of Krishna, right? At the same time, we can connect with Krishna much more easily in personalist form. So Krishna is a person, and his personalist form connects us better to him rather than some Vishwarupa feature where Krishna is very is showing all his power, but we are not able to connect. So think of this: if you want diamond, if you want diamond to wear on your, let's say, hand, or maybe neck or anywhere, right? You want diamond to wear on your neck or maybe on your head, but by wearing that diamond, it cuts your hand. Diamond cuts your hand, and your blood comes coming out, or in your head, it cuts your head and blood comes coming out. So even if diamond is very very expensive, it is of no worth. You cannot use it, right? So only those things which we could connect with, which are good for us, we can have it, right? So Vishwarupa is a very good feature, but we would never be able to connect with Krishna in that mood, because first we would not be able to understand, and even if we are able to understand, we would never be able to understand. And even if we are able to understand, Krishna is not that merciful. In that feature, Krishna is not that merciful, right? So Arjuna inquired in this 12th chapter, first shlok, which are considered to be more perfect, those who are properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship the impersonal Brahman, the unmanifested, right? So there are two features. Uh, so again, I don't know why this is not coming out correctly. Let me show you that way only. Yeah. So here it is asked, this person is asking, this Sadhu Baba, this person is asking, who is this? Why am I getting this buzzing noise? I have muted everyone. Let me mute Tanvi for a minute. Yes, Tanvi, it is from your side only. Anyways, I would be unmuting you. So this person asked this Sadhu Baba, what are you doing? So Sadhu Baba says, I am focusing. Then he asks, on what? He says, not sure. So in this world that we are living, we are asked to concentrate upon nothing, right? uh, the nothingness of this life is being talked about, but they don't know that no one's mind could be empty even for a second. You would be thinking. It's not possible that you cannot think, because you have a mind. You can it is only obvious that you would be thinking. Now some people say that it is possible not to think. It is possible not to think, I would agree, but then you have to be dead. Once you are dead, you cannot think, but till the time you are alive, you would be thinking on something or the other. So rather than doing this impersonalist uh, this uh, devotional service, or meditation, I should say, this impersonalist meditation would not serve you anything. What you should be doing is, you should be focusing yourself upon Krishna. So 12.2 says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Okay, yeah, unmuted. Tanvi, unmuted.
मय्यावेश्यो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेता ते मे युक्ततमा मताः.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, those who fix their mind on my personal form, not on any form of my energy, not on energy, but on my personal form, are always engaged in worshipping me with great and transcendental faith, are considered by me to be most perfect. Who is considered by Krishna to be most perfect? Who concentrates, who focuses upon the personal form of Krishna, and who worships Krishna with great and transcendental faith, right? So this is the Radha Krishna deity that we have at ISKCON Mangaluru, and this program is because of ISKCON Mangaluru only. They are doing this. So I'm just trying to serve their purpose and Krishna's purpose. So it is 12.5. Yeah, so should I continue? Yes. So for those whose mind are attached to the unmanifested or the impersonal form of supreme, advancement is very troublesome. As I told you, we would not be able to understand. So advancement is very troublesome. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied, right? So it is very difficult for advancement if we attach ourselves in the impersonal feature of supreme. So this is very beautiful graphical representation or comical representation, which says that we often give excuses or explanation that I will go to mountain and focus on Brahman, or for in our case, we would one day go to mountains and focus on Brahman, right? Today, because of this city life, because of this noise, because of everything, because there are a lot of trouble, I am not able to concentrate. And when I would be going on the mountains, I would be focusing on Brahman, right? If I go, what would happen? It is too cold, right? I would go to desert and focus on Brahman. If I go, what would happen? It is too hot, right? I'll go to forest and focus on Brahman. If I go, what would happen? What if tiger attacks me? So it is not possible for us to go to places and focus ourselves on Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what can I do in this Kali Yuga? So we have learned this shloka when we were doing that that we should be chanting Krishna's name. There, this came. I don't know. This always makes. Right. Yeah. This Zoom is. Why? I don't know. So this is Harer Naam, Harer Naam, Harer Naam hi kevalam. Kalu nastai, even nastai gatir anyatha, which means there is only hope in Krishna's name. There is only hope in Krishna's name. There is only hope in Krishna's name. So what should we be doing? We should chant Krishna's name. What is the best way to chant Krishna's name? Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So the 16 words are the only hope. What is this? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We should be chanting this. So Bhagavad Gita 12.8 says, Mai Eva, rather I should not be chanting. I'm just continuing with the translation. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus, you will live in me always without a doubt. So, what does Krishna say? Krishna says, engage your mind and intelligence, engage all your intelligence in me, right? Fix your mind onto me. So we have to fix our mind and intelligence on whom? Krishna. And what Krishna promises? After we fix our mind and intelligence on Krishna, what Krishna promises? You would live in me. You would live in me always without any doubt. Right? So could anyone tell me about? I'm waiting for. No, please do not write so much in chat box. I am not able to read so much. Yeah. So yes. Does anyone know about this story?
Sir, my mother had told me.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Vidyut is unmuted. So yeah. Tanvi knows it. Tanvi knows it. Anyone else? Shruti knows it. So Tanvi has spoken. Let me give Shruti a chance. Shruti, and if there is anything wrong, Vidyut, please, yeah, Shruti, you have been unmuted, and I am not muting you again.
Yes.
So if there is anything that you want to add, Vidyut, please continue. Yes, Shruti.
Sir,
Yeah, Shruti, please continue.
sir, I should say what is the story, sir?
Yeah, everyone should know what is the story.
Like before the Mahayuddha in Mahabharata,
Okay.
like Duryodhana and Arjuna will go. Lord Krishna. First, Duryodhana will come, then Arjuna will come. Then after that, after Arjuna comes, Krishna wakes up. Then he will say "Hi, Arjuna," like that. And then uh, Arjuna asks you something. Then Duryodhana will say that I came first, so I should have a chance to ask you. Then Krishna will say that I saw Arjuna first. That's
Yeah,
the whole story,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. So you said things correctly, but you merged everything. Yeah. So does anyone want to add any other thing? Tanvi. Yeah. You were right. I am not
Can you
saying you
please
were
say?
not right, but people would not be able to understand it. Yeah, Tanvi. Please make it understandable for everyone. Yes.
Sir, Duryodhana says, I want my
No,
army.
no, no, no,
Then
no, no,
Arjuna
no,
also says the
no,
same.
no, no. First, give the understanding what is happening. So one day Krishna was sleeping on his bed, right? And when Krishna was sleeping, uh, Duryodhana came. Now, when Duryodhana came, he saw Krishna sleeping. Now, when Duryodhana saw, and this all happened, like Shruti was saying before Mahabharata Yudh started, this all was happening. So Duryodhana came and he saw Krishna sleeping. So he thought that let me ask Krishna for something, and he thought, what should I be doing? What should I be doing by the time he is sleeping? So he thought that I should sit on the chair nearby his head, and as he would wake up, he would see me. Suddenly Arjuna came, and Arjuna too wanted to ask Krishna for something, right? And as Arjuna came, uh, uh, Arjuna was thinking of the same thing, that what should I do? So Arjuna thought that I should stand in the lotus feet of Krishna because of two reasons. First, uh, as a devotee, we all should strive, not for any other thing but the lotus feet of Krishna, because we could learn only from, if we think of the lotus feet of Krishna, right? So he thought that if I am standing on the lotus feet of Krishna, then it's good for me. And another thing is, whenever anyone wakes up, he does not see anyone on the sides. He does not see anyone on the sides. He sees anyone who is in the front, who is at his legs, right? So Arjuna thought that as Krishna would wake up, he would see me, right? So it happened. Krishna woke up, and Krishna saw Arjuna first. So uh, he was asking. So Duryodhana went angry. As Krishna was talking to Arjuna, Duryodhana went angry, and he said, I came first, so I have the first right to talk to you. He came later, so he should be talking to you later, right? But Krishna was talking to Arjuna back then, and Krishna did not stop. And what happened was, Krishna said that, okay, this Mahabharata Yuddha is starting, so I have just two things. What are those two things? I have my Narayani Sena, or I have me. I have me or the Narayani Sena. So Krishna asked Arjuna, because Krishna already knew even before them telling that what they want to ask for. Krishna already knew, because Krishna is God. So Krishna knew what they came for. So Krishna asked Arjuna, "What do you want?" So Arjuna said, "What would I do of Narayani Sena? I just want you." Right. So thereafter, what happened was, Duryodhana was really very, very happy. Oh, this idiot! This idiot asked for Krishna. This Narayani Sena, this huge Narayani Sena, he rejected. Oh, such a idiot person. Arjuna is such a idiot. He looks very, very intelligent, but he is idiot, right? And Duryodhana felt that I should be asking for Narayani Sena, and he asked for it, and he got it, but he did not get Krishna. And Duryodhana in his mind thought that what would I do of Krishna? Narayani Sena is good enough for me to win the war. What would I do of Krishna? So here it is written, Krishna asked, my armies will be on one side and I will be on the other side, and I won't fight. So Arjuna said, we want you, my lord, not your army. Duryodhana, what an unintelligent person, right? So Duryodhana went happy, despite the fact that he was asked later. Duryodhana went happy because he got what he asked for. And uh, so on the very first day, we learned this, that forget every other reason for Arjuna to win the war of Mahabharata. What is most important is the fact that Krishna was standing on his side. Wherever Krishna is, victory is guaranteed. Wherever Krishna is, it is right. Wherever Krishna is, it is religion. Wherever Krishna is, it is dharma. So without a doubt, Arjuna had to win, and it is the heart of a true devotee that they want nothing but Lord. So it would have been look, even if Arjuna knew, I am saying for the sake of your understanding only, even if Arjuna knew that we would lose the war if Narayani Sena goes against us, right? If Narayani Sena is on the other side, we would lose the war. Even if Arjuna knew this fact, Arjuna would rather ask for the same thing again. Arjuna would ask for Krishna again, even if we know, because it is not possible. So even putting this hypothesis is impossible event, but I am just putting an example. Even if Arjuna knew that if Krishna is with us and Narayani Sena is with them, Narayani Sena being so powerful, we would lose. Even if Arjuna had this understanding, even then Arjuna would have asked for Krishna only, because devotees do not want any other thing but Krishna. So given a choice, if someone is a pure devotee, given a choice, and Krishna asked him, what do you want? Do you want me, do you want to come in my loka and serve as a minion servant? There is no minion servant, but I'm giving you an example. What do you want? Do you want to come to me and serve as a,
Excuse me, sir.
yeah, minion is a very unimportant person. Yeah, that was your question.
Sir, everyone is chatting in chat box, sir. Everyone is chatting simply.
Okay, so let me mute everyone. I don't want to do that, but you all force me. Okay, thank you for intimating. Yes, muted. So yeah.
Thank you.
If Krishna asks, what do you want? Do you want to come in my loka and serve as a minion servant? Minion is a very, very small, very small. Let's say one who cleans the table, one who cleans the floor, right? That kind of a servant. Or do you want to go to another loka and serve as a king? Serve as a king. What do you want to do that? What do you want to do? You have two choices. A pure devotee would rather say that I would come to your loka and serve as a menial, serve as a very small servant. I am good with that. I would see you. That is more important to me. I don't want kingdom. I don't want any other thing. For me, you are important, right? So that is the heart of true devotee. A true devotee does not aspire for any other thing but Krishna. Yeah. So let's read 12.9. 12.9 says, My dear Arjuna, oh winner of wealth. Now, Krishna, now I was telling you all through that it is a love letter. Bhagavad Gita is a love letter, and the most important part comes in between. So, uh, uh, Krishna is not telling this to Arjuna. Krishna is telling this to everyone in this world, everyone who is reading Bhagavad Gita after Arjuna too, because to Arjuna, he knows who Arjuna is and what are the capabilities of Arjuna, and how Arjuna could be elevated. But for you and me, it's very difficult, right? So Krishna tells through Arjuna to us, my dear Arjuna, oh winner of wealth, if you cannot focus your mind. uh, Before that, yes, before this, even in 12.8, Krishna says, just fix your mind onto me. So this is the first thing that Krishna says. Krishna says, fix your mind onto me. After that, Krishna says, if not possible, if you are not doing this, fix your mind onto me is the first thing that I am asking for. If not possible, what you should be doing? Uh, if you are not able to fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principle of Bhakti Yoga. This way, develop a desire to attain me. So, what are the four regulative principles that we talk of? Four regulative principle that mm, we talk of. Let me show you. Yeah, these are the four regulative principles that we talk of. So what are they? Those: no meat eating, no gambling, no use of intoxication, no illicit sex. Right? These are the four regulative principles. These are the four principles that we must follow, or we would not be able to do our devotional service. So Krishna says that if you are not able to fix your mind onto me, you should follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. In this way, develop a desire to attain me. So, this is a pictorial representation wherein this regulative principles of a devotee is quashing the Maya. Right? This is the diamond. Diamond in our life is Krishna only, Shuddha Bhakti. Right? So quashing the Maya, this Bhakta can go to Shuddha Bhakti. And how can we do that? We can do that through the acts of regulative principle. If we are following regulative principle, we can do that. Now, Krishna says again, if you cannot practice the regulative regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you can come to the perfect stage. Now, what does Krishna says? Krishna says that even if you are not able to do Bhakti Yoga, although it is best for you to do fix your mind onto me, if you are not able to fix your mind, uh, at least follow regulative principle. Everyone must be following regulative principle. All those who are fixing their mind onto Krishna must be following. This is a precondition. You must be following regulative principle. But just that, if you are not able to fix your mind onto Krishna, at least follow this. At least follow regulative principle. If you are not able to do even that, then try to work for me. At least do that. So Krishna says, if you cannot practice the regulation of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me, because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. Now think of this. These are the staircase: level 1, level 2, level 3. So if you are not fixing your mind onto Krishna, And now, what is the easiest way? Again, the easiest way is to chant, the holy names of Krishna. If you are not fixing your mind onto Krishna, you can never reach Krishna. If you are on the third stage, if you are trying to work only for Krishna, and if you are not fixing your mind onto Krishna, so if you are fixing your mind, you would be following regulative principle. If you are fixing your mind, you would be working for Krishna, right? If level 1 is achieved, level 2 and 3 are already achieved. Okay, you have to do it, and thereby only you can reach to level 1. Level 1 is what? Fixing your mind onto Krishna. So if you are fixing your mind onto Krishna, you are already following regulative principle, you are already working for Krishna, right? If you are not able to fix your mind onto Krishna, you would take a lot of time to go back to Krishna. But at least do something. Rather than doing nothing, do something. What? Follow regulative principle. If you are doing following regulative principle, you are already working for Krishna. You are already working for Krishna. But then, even then, you would take a lot of time to fix your mind onto Krishna and then go back to Krishna. But even if you are not able to follow regulative principle, then try to work for Krishna. If you are working for Krishna, this is the least that you can do. If you are working for Krishna, then it would take you a lot of time to go back to Krishna. If it would take you a lot of time to follow regulative principle and then fix your mind onto Krishna. But then at least you should be doing it, because if you are not doing it, the opportunity that you have got in this life would be wasted. So this explains how working for Krishna, your idea or scheme of things changes, right? If you are working for Maya, Maya means where you are attached to material activities. You want fruitive result of everything. This person says, I will buy a bigger phone, I will buy a TV compared to my neighbor. So he already has a phone, he already has a TV, but he wants better, he wants higher, he wants more, right? In the same thing, he would be entangled all his life. But one who is working for Krishna, he would say, I will just buy Gita, and that is all. Right? Because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna reveals himself. What more does he want? What more does he want? He would be getting everything in Gita. He does not want any other thing. Right? So these are very, 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 very important shloka. Very important shloka. So please hear it with full concentration and please remember it. So this is 12.8, 12.9, which says, one who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised to honor and dishonor. Equipoised means equal to. Equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy. One who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. So the question is, do you want to be dear to Krishna? If you want yourself to be dear to Krishna, then you must follow all these things. What are these things? One who is equal to friends and enemies means we are indifferent. So whoever it is, we are indifferent. We want, we wish good for everyone. We wish good for everyone. We do not want ill. We do not have anything ill. I don't want anything bad for any one of you, right? If I have that attitude, then I am equiposed. I feel equal in friends and enemies. Again, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor. If someone uh, praises me or someone disregards me, right, I should be equal to both, right? If someone praises me, I should not be very comforting to him, or if someone who disregards me, I should not be very uh, 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 aggressive to him, right? he should be equal in heat and cold. So whatever the scenario may be, he should be equal. He should be same, right? In happiness and distress. So whatever happens with in in good, if something good happens, you should not be overly happy, and if bad happens, you should not be overly pessimistic, right? If something bad happens, you are so pessimistic. If something good happens, you are so optimistic. It's not good. You should have, there is a word called equanimity. Equanimity, which means equal in all situations, right? Mm, so in fame and infamy, if there is fame, if there is good name to you, you should have the same attitude. If there is infamy to you, someone blasphemes you, someone makes fun of you, you should be equal to them. Who is free from contaminating association. Now this is very important for all of us. uh, so in the past too, there have been many cases where a pure devotee, even a pure devotee, now it's very difficult for even being a devotee, right? Being a devotee is very challenging job. Being a pure devotee is nearly impossible job, right? Even a pure devotee got contaminated with wrong association, right? If people got associated with wrong people, if someone got associated with wrong people, right, because of it, because of bad association, they too became bad, right? So we should be very conscious of what? We should be very conscious of our association, that we should not be connecting to wrong people. Always silent. I mean, you should not blabber. You should not be shouting, or you should not be making uh, uh, exhibition of yourself, right? And satisfied with anything. So by this, Krishna means that we should not be uh, having a unsatiated demand, right? Like people have so many demands with themselves, that I want this, I want this, I want this. uh, but the fact is that whatever Krishna gives, whatever Krishna is giving, you should be happy with it. Why you are so much into asking so many things with Krishna, right? So you should be satisfied with anything Krishna gives, right? Who does not care for any residence. So even if you are in a rent, if you are living in a rent, or if you have your own bungalow, or if you are having a flat, or if you are having a villa, how does that matter? What matters is, for Sudama, even when Krishna gave him a palace of gold, did Sudama appreciated that? No, because what matters is not the residence. What matters is what goes inside. How am I connecting with Krishna, right? So it can happen at any place. So who does not care for residence, who is fixed in knowledge. Now Bhagavad Gita imparts us knowledge, and Bhagavad Gita says that we should be fixed in knowledge of Krishna, and who is engaged in devotional service. So one should be engaged in devotional service. So these are the qualities that we all should try to endeavor, right? If we are able to endeavor these qualities, we would be close to Krishna, who is the purest, one of the or maybe the purest devotee we ever knew, Narada Muni, right? Narada Muni always used to chant the names of Krishna, right? He would always chant the names of Krishna, and he would do things, anything that Krishna desires. He would do only those things that Krishna desires, right? There is one more example of this. This is why this is, I don't know what is that. Yeah. So uh, This was, I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, so this is the story that I would be telling you about. Let me have a minute. I would be reading this story from a book only. Although I can explain, but in the book it is written very beautifully. So this is a story of a real saint, a real touchstone. So few hundred years ago in India, there was a Brahmin devotee of Lord Shiva. He was very, very poor with a few worldly possessions. So he did not have much with him. He had only a few worldly possessions, and he was very poor. Right? This Brahmana was very poor. So being pleased with the worship of Lord, being pleased with his worship, Lord Shiva appeared to him and blessed him. Go to Vrindavan. There on the banks of river at the Dwadasha Aditya Tila, find one Sanatana Goswami. He has Sparsha Mani. What is Sparsha Mani? Sparsha Mani is touchstone. What is touchstone? Uh, it would be explained later. This jewel will turn iron into pure gold simply by touch. If you ask him, he will give the jewel to you. The Brahmin did as he was told. At Dwadasha Aditya Tila, he found Sanatana Goswami performing his meditation. The Brahmin approached him and said, "On the order of Lord Shiva, I have come to you to ask for Sparsha Mani from you." Sanatana Goswami answered, "Yes, I have one and I'll give you." But the Brahmin was very pleased to hear this, thinking that Lord Shiva has been very kind to him. Sanatana Goswami pointed towards the rubbish heap, dustbin, at a distance and told the Brahmin to find the touchstone in there and to take it. The Brahmin was bewildered. He wondered why a touchstone was kept within a pile of rubbish. Now, if something is so valuable, why would it be kept in a rubbish place? So he was bewildered. He did not know why this is happening. Sure enough, there was the touchstone. Anything of iron he touched with the jewel actually turned into gold. He was no longer poor. He was getting as much gold as he wanted, by by Lord Shiva's blessing, he also had good intelligence. He began to think the whole world is searching for touchstone like this one I now have. But Sanatana Goswami had it lying within the rubbish heap. Who keeps something so valuable uh, in a pile of rubbish? He must be some. He must have something even more valuable than this. So this Brahmin was really puzzled. First of all, he was thinking like, why Sanatana Goswami would keep this in a rubbish. Then after this touchstone was working, and whatever he would touch with touchstone turned into gold, he felt like, okay, it is working, and everything of iron I'm touching with this touchstone is turning into gold. But mm, why did he uh, keep it in rubbish? Let me ask him. Thinking thus, the Brahmin went back to Sanatana Goswami and asked, "Do you have something even more valuable than this jewel?" Sanatana Goswami replied, "Yes, I do. It is millions times more precious. Do you want it?" Brahmin said, "Yes. Yes, please, I do." Sanatana Goswami then told, "First, you must throw this touchstone in the Yamuna because you cannot receive what I have to give until you are freed from all the attachment. By the blessings of Lord Shiva, Brahmin had complete faith in the words of Sanatana Goswami. Because Sanatana Goswami gave him that touchstone, he developed faith, right? Even though the Brahmin knew that the power and the potency of the jewel, he threw it into the river Yamuna. He knew that he would never be able to see it again. Now, in the surrendered mood, with full faith and humility, he folded his hand. So, he threw this touchstone in Yamuna. So after this, he folded his hand and approached Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana said, I'll give you something greater than all gold in creation. The greatest treasure is the treasure of the love of God. This treasure is lying dormant within your heart. There is only one means of achieving it, through the touchstone of sincerity, chanting the holy names of God. Thus, Sanatana Goswami initiated the Brahmin to the chanting of holy names of God and became the possessor of ultimate wealth of love of God. So, this Brahmin was thus given this intelligence that the name of Krishna is much more valuable than all the wealth accumulated in this life, right? So eventually, this Brahmin, because of his surrenderance, came to know that Krishna's name is even more merciful, even more important. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who actually engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. So what does Krishna says? Krishna says, first Krishna says that these are the qualities, such person is very dear to me. And thereafter Krishna says, those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service, who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. So Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita who is very dear to Krishna, right? So these are the people. This is Lord Hanuman, who was very, very dear to Lord Ram. And this is. Let me ask people. I'm unmuting you, everyone. No. Yes. Let me. Yeah.
Simha, sir.
Sir Narsimha.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad
Who is this?
Maharaja.
Maharaj.
Sudama. Yes.
Sir Mitul.
And who is this?
Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada. Because Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada worked all his life in the service of Krishna. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada was very dear to Krishna. So if we want to be dear to Krishna, Krishna has given us the path. How can we be very dear to Krishna? So anyone who had this doubt would get his doubt quashed after today, right? Yes. So I'm not unmuting everyone. You may write in the chat. I am sharing. Just a minute. Yeah, what happened? Again, soft. I don't know why this happens. Again,